Hello, everyone. Ian McMillan here, and joining me today, the current U.S. Open champion. Joining me on behalf of Blade and Bow, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, Wyndham Clark. Thank you so much for joining me, Wyndham. I want to start off by talking to you about your episode on Full Swing, which is kind of all the talk of the town right now. I thought your episode was one of the more intriguing and interesting episodes of the entire series. Have you gotten the chance to watch that episode yet?
No, I haven't. Everyone gives me a hard time that I haven't watched it, but it's honestly because first off, I lived it, and so
Right.
that's one thing. And then the second is watching myself on camera is always uncomfortable and listening to myself. And so I always just kind of get that cringe feeling. And so I decided that I wasn't going to watch it. All my friends have, and maybe one day I'll look back and watch it, but I just don't feel comfortable watching it. But I've heard a lot of good things, and I'm glad you really liked it, and I appreciate you saying you did.
Yeah, obviously, the most intriguing part of it was your talk about sports psychology, which is a personal interest of mine as well. How much of getting a sports psychologist and leaning into that aspect of your game is the reason why we've seen so much improvement from you over the past year? I mean, you went from 0 professional wins to now 3, including win at US Open, a win at Pebble Beach. The show made it seem like it was a massive part of it. Is that true, or was there kind of a physical, actual fixes to your swing that made all the difference too?
I would say it's a big part. I have been blessed and kind of always had a lot of the physical components to the game, and I just was lacking, I think, some of that, the mental strength to be able to handle adversity, handle the nerves, handle winning, success, all that stuff. And so it is a huge part. And then with that said, I did make some changes simultaneously with adding a mental coach, of not having a swing coach and owning my own golf swing. And I think those two things together just basically groomed me to start playing great golf. And next thing you know, I started winning tournaments. So it's a combination of things, but I would say it's for sure probably the biggest part of why I had success last year.
Talk to me about like how that feels when you're actually playing through a round on the PGA Tour. Do you, like, now that you have a mental coach and you've gone through that process and it's worked for you, is it kind of night and day for how you feel and maybe some thoughts you have in between shots that you feel now or think now that you didn't 2 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly where I feel some of the biggest stuff is the more tournaments I play, the more comfortable I feel on the golf course, to where it almost feels like a round with my buddies back home. And I'm not as nervous. I'm more comfortable. I'm able to hit the shots that maybe I see in practice that in 2 years ago I was scared to pull off because I didn't think I could do it. And then I just find myself in between shots or post shots, pre-shot, whatever, where any of those negative thoughts come in, I'm actually able to capture and catch those, and replace them with something positive, where before I'd let them run wild, and I'd would just have all these thoughts coming through, and then I'd sit up to hit a shot and I'd hit a bad shot and get mad that I allowed myself to hit a shot when I was having negative thoughts, and I don't allow that anymore. So I really notice a ton when I get in the arena. It's amazing how much my mind has shifted, and I'm able to just play freely and start to really love and enjoy golf.
Now, I know you said you haven't actually watched the episode yourself, but I'm sure you've heard it. It kind of compares you to Joel Damon, who said multiple times throughout the episode that he doesn't have any interest in talking to a sports psychologist. I don't know if that's changed, but I'm curious, have you talked to Joel Damon since that episode has come out? Because it was an interesting kind of how they compare the two of you throughout.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him about it. I mean, I see Joel and we were friends and we talk and we enjoy hanging out and whatnot, but I have not, we haven't talked to the specifics of the show. So, he hasn't asked me any questions about it, and I haven't asked him any questions. So I'm anxious to see when that happens, and I'd love to hear his thoughts on what he thought about the show and everything. So we'll see what happens, I guess.
one of the other best moments, obviously, from the show is when you got your first win at Quail Hollow. Now, I'm curious specifically, I want to know the feeling you felt when you won, because it's actually one of my favorite parts of watching golf is seeing how some golfers react and trying to figure out how they're feeling. Would you describe that as like happiness or maybe even relief when you got your first pro win? What was kind of, or was it just kind of like an overwhelming, a ton of different emotions all at once?
Yeah, it's hard because you're so focused all day, and you're the whole time you're trying to not think about winning because you're trying to stay focused on the shot, and then you finally get to where you win. And so it's a tough transition because you're just like, okay, where are my emotions? But I would definitely say my first win was a lot of relief because I had been playing for 5 years and had come, you know, I had a chance to win so many times and come so close, and to not pull it off in those times, it really started to eat at me, and I felt like I had this, kind of all this weight on my shoulders of I needed to win. And so when I finally broke through and won, it really felt like all that weight just was taken off, and I was just so excited and relieved, and all that stuff it doesn't sink in almost until later. That's what's so weird and unique about winning is, I mean, barring, I guess, making a 20-footer to win by one on the last hole and you have the huge fist pump and, the, kind of Tiger style, I think usually it's a tap in or you win by a couple of shots and you're going to win. And so it's kind of like you don't have that crazy feeling until later afterwards and you go, man, I can't believe I just won that. And it kind of starts sinking in. So it's been different for each one of my wins. I'd say that for sure.
Yeah, and I would say the way that you won Pebble Beach this year is a very unique way that not many guys on the PGA Tour have
Yeah.
won that way. Obviously, you won when the final round was canceled, but that round of 60 at Pebble Beach, where would you rank that amongst the best rounds you've played of golf in your life?
I mean, it's probably number one, to be honest.
Has to be, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at a course as iconic as Pebble Beach and, you know, thousands of them, I don't know, maybe a million people have played there. And I broke a record that has been there for a long time. And, I'm selfishly hoping it stays there for a really long time after I did it because it's so amazing. And then it's one of my favorite courses in the world. And then to do it to win the tournament, I mean, you put that all together and I don't see how that couldn't be my best round ever.
Were you thinking at all during that third round that might be it, that there might not be a fourth and final round of the tournament, or were you not aware of that until kind of it was over?
Yeah, we all knew that going in. I knew going in because they had talked about, they're like, hey, you know, the weather tomorrow's so bad we might not be able to play, and everyone was kind of, there was some rumblings, but that doesn't ever mean like, hey, it's going to be canceled. You just had it in the back of your mind that, hey, let's go out and have the best round we can, play the best we can play, and hope that it's a good day, and maybe we salvage where I was at the time, try to get in the top 10, top 5, and call it a good week. And if not, then we put ourselves in a good position to play on the final round, and then to have something like I did. It was only fitting, to be honest, that I shoot such an iconic round and was leading the tournament, and it was canceled because coming down those last few holes, it felt like I won the tournament. That was probably the craziest thing about the whole experience was by the time I got to 15, it felt like it was a Sunday. And then on 16, 17, 18, everyone's giving me a standing ovation. And everyone on the golf course was just on that hole to watch me to see if I could shoot 59 or at least break the record and shoot 60. And so when I finished, I walked off the course and I did an hour of media like you would after winning. I was like, wow, this felt like I just won, even though we had one more day of golf. So I guess it worked out, all in the right way.
Now let's talk about the rest of 2024. You already mentioned Pebble Beach, one of your favorite golf courses. Most golfers, I think, they have courses either that they look forward to the most, that they like playing the most on the PGA Tour schedule, or at least courses that fit their style of play the best. Is there an event that you're looking at and at some point this year where it's a course where you feel comfortable, that you think your style of play fits that course really well?
Well, I mean, I always look forward to the majors. This week, playing the Players, I'm super excited about. and then obviously Augusta coming up. But I think, going back to where I had my first win at Quail Hollow, I feel like I could play really good at that golf course. And that being such an amazing track and, such a major test of golf, that course is so good. I feel like I can play good there. So I typically feel like my game travels well and plays really good on challenging golf courses. So anytime there's something hard, that's when I feel like I can play well at.
Now you mentioned it, the Masters. This will be your first time playing at the Masters. I believe that you already played around with your dad and your brother. What was that experience like?
Well, one of the coolest. We all are big golf fans. We grew up watching Tiger Woods, watching all the greats play Augusta and winning, and it's one of the only courses I think I've ever been to where I knew every single hole and every single shot before I ever went and stepped on property, and so that's very rare in itself. And so for us to go together as a family, we don't get to spend that much time. I travel all the time. My dad travels for work. My brother travels for work. We all live in 3 different cities. It was really cool, kind of father-son family bonding that we got to have for 2 days at one of the most amazing courses in the world. So it was so special. I think we'll hold that close. My brother and I and my dad, I think that'll be something that we'll always cherish for the rest of our lives.
Do you think there's any part of it when you do get at Augusta and you're ready to play Thursday's round where you can do you think you're going to be able to put aside the fact that you're at Augusta, that this is your first Masters, kind of the moment of it, and really just be able to kind of focus in on golf itself? Is there, some kind of challenge to playing at a course that you've dreamed about playing at your entire life?
That's part of the reason why I went early, and I'm actually going to go do one more visit before, and I'm hoping to get the wow factor out of the way. Because it is just a golf tournament. And at the end of the day, the golf ball doesn't know what tournament it is. It just knows, what you're doing with it. And it only wants to go in the hole. So that's kind of why I'm doing multiple visits, because I want to get that out of the way. So that when I step on property, I'm there for one reason. That's to try to win a golf tournament, not just to, enjoy the moment and be wowed by Augusta and all that is.
Of course. Wyndham, tell me about your partnership with Blade and Bow.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this. So I've been a bourbon drinker for, most of my life. I love good bourbons. And I was super excited when they reached out to me to try to partner to grow, obviously, their brand, but to really branch into the game of golf. And, bourbon typically, isn't, there's not a huge footprint in golf with bourbon. And so it's amazing that they want to do this. And I'm humbled that they want to partner with me. And it's amazing how you can put bourbon in any kind of drink and make it fantastic, both on and off the golf course. And I think they go so well together. Golf is such a social sport, and it's fun when you're able to enjoy a cocktail both on and off the golf course, both, winning and losing, celebrating, just being out there and enjoying the game of golf and the camaraderie that golf brings. So I'm really excited about it and really looking forward to what this partnership, is going to look like in the future as well.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today, Wyndham. Best of luck, and I look forward to watching you the rest of the season.
Awesome. Thanks.